Hi, everyone. I first want to thank you for taking the time to review this presentation, as I want to spend a few moments to provide you with an overview of what we're working on with the SydTek project within the higher education space. I am Justin Golston, and I am a professor at Penn State University, where my research is primarily focused on supply chain management and emerging technologies such as blockchain. Outside of Penn State, I have created a number of courses on emerging technologies such as blockchain and AI. I have spent the last year and a half working with the University of Cumberland's to develop their global business in blockchain graduate program. And I also serve on the advisory board of the graduate school at Georgetown University, where I've spent the last year and a half working with them on developing their masters in supply chain. Outside of academia, I am a five-time TEDx speaker where I shared my vision of the Web3 movement and blockchain in 2019. And if you want to see some of those talks, you can go to TED.com, type in Justin Golston, or you can also go to my website, justingolston.com, to see some of those presentations. And as for my contributions to the industry, I talk a lot about blockchain within supply chain management. I have been named the Supply Chain Pro to Know in 2021 by the Supply and Demand Chain Executive, and also a rock star of the supply chain in 2021 by Food and Logistics. Also, Thinkers 360 named me a top 10 global thought leader and influencer on the area of blockchain. I am very passionate about this discipline, and those awards are something I'm very proud about. So this video provides you with a quick overview of what we are trying to do with this SydTek project. So we're trying to reinvent higher education, and I come from the industry. So I have that practical hands-on experience. And when I went into higher education as a professor, a lot of my peers are career academics. They discuss the theories, and once the students leave the industry, some of the responses I get from executives from organizations is that they don't know how to apply what they've learned in higher education. So, for example, Penn State University is one of the top supply chain programs in the world, but some of the professors are only teaching supply chain theory. And I think that that is a gap, especially within the area of blockchain. And I feel that the solution that we're providing will close that gap. So again, the problem that we have is that the higher education system is broken. As I noted, I split my time. I would say I split my time between the industry and in higher education. Although I'm employed full time in higher education, I split my time between industry and higher education, and I've noted this multiple times within industry conference presentations, and I think that a lot of the research on blockchain is all theory. There are very few use cases in terms of blockchain, especially in these graduate programs, and I think that that is a gap. So because of that, there is no practical application that students can take to the industry. So again, going back to the University of Cumberland's, whenever I joined the University of Cumberland's, they had one blockchain development program where students learn IBM Hyperledger Fabric. But unless you're working for a Fortune 100 company that has millions of dollars to invest in IBM Hyperledger Fabric, many of these students aren't going to work with Hyperledger Fabric. So that is another reason why there is a gap, and that is why we're creating this solution. So yes, we are making strides within higher education to introduce students to blockchain, but they are only being introduced, and I stress introduced on this slide, to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Hyperledger Fabric. But because once they actually get into the industry, they're going to be introduced to the polka dots, the avalanches, the flows. Once they get into the blockchain space, there's going to be a need for education for these Web3 platforms, these Web3 solutions. And also, I think the biggest problem is that, and I also want to preface the point that I do come from higher education, but the institutions have transitioned their focus on revenue generation. They have changed their focus to profitability. They have moved away from teaching students how to be critical thinkers, how to be innovative. And they are just teaching students to be cogs within the system. So another point is that although students pay for education, many of the graduate students, many of the PhD students are being laborers to these academic institutions so that these academic institutions can get grants and that can roll out research to these industry organizations with these corporate partnerships where they bring in millions where the students are paying. That's a problem to me. So with that, the solution is that we want to create this SydTek testnet. And this testnet came from the voice of the customer. And my customers are going to be the founders of these blockchain organizations, these blockchain projects. So I'll work with the founders of Akala. I'll work with the founders of BitCountry. And they said if there is a gap, so as they are growing, as they are getting funded, they need more developers. They need more people with blockchain knowledge. So this SydTek platform is going to be a sandbox, a test net for students to learn, to create, and to develop. And it's also going to be an incubator for these existing blockchain projects. And not only is it only for developers, it's also for non-technical students as well. Because it's my vision that these computer science majors can work with students from healthcare, students from accounting, students from finance, students from business, to take what they've learned in their internships, what they've learned from these theorists, to create solutions, to create smart contracts, to create DApps, to create DeFi protocols, to put on this test net. And this test net, if you're familiar with the Polkadot blockchain, is going to be like a mini Kusama so that they can create. Okay. Now within this test net, we are also looking to have focused education. So although we are primarily focused on the Polkadot ecosystem, there are also going to be integrations with Polkadot. There's going to be blockchains that people need to be knowledgeable on outside of Polkadot. And that's where this Figment partnership is going to come in. So using the Figment Pathways platform, we're going to introduce students to other blockchain solutions. And because we are going to teach the students how to stake using our token, now they're going to be knowledgeable about the avalanches, about the silos. And now they can stake those tokens on the Figment platform. Now, also, I think that we currently have a number of students going through the Substrate Developers Program that's organized by the founders of Akala, and we're looking to create our own certification programs as well. So in initial stages, we're going to create a foundations of blockchain with Polkadot. We're going to create a foundations of Rust certification. We're going to have a certified in ink smart contracts, and we have a call with Penn State in 2 weeks to introduce this within their continuing education program. I've been working with their continuing education program, delivering courses for them for about 2 years now. And we've been talking about a blockchain course for over 2 years before I even joined the continuing education program. So we're looking to introduce the foundations of blockchain with Polkadot in the fall. And then also, given that I'm on the graduate advisory board at Georgetown, I am looking to introduce this blockchain, this test nets, this certification program into a special topics and supply chain program in 2022. So that's another thing we're looking to do in terms of focused education. And for the collaborative innovation, given that we are creating this interdisciplinary model, you're looking to create our utility token. And I want to back up and say that this testnet, our first project, is called Project Blockchain. And Project Blockchain is that we call it the Project Blockchain because this testnet is an off the grid platform. It's a delisted platform, because we want to have controlled chaos in this platform. We want to have mayhem in this platform because it's our belief, and this comes from my industry experience, my agile experience. It's my belief of whenever you allow people to innovate, to collaborate freely, to encourage them to fail, you're going to harness innovation. You're going to harness creativity. And that's why we call it Project Blockchain. Because I'm telling my student ambassadors, I said, I want absolute chaos in this test net, because that's how we're going to create. So we're going to have this controlled chaos, this collaborative innovation with students from different disciplines, but also I have a number of peers that are the dissertation chairs for AI students, for students that they're looking to get their doctorate in artificial intelligence. They have their terminal degrees in computer science, so they're going to join the next phase of the project, which is called Project Engine, AIGEN, where we're going to integrate AI into smart contracts to create intelligent contracts. And all of these solutions are going to get put on the SydTek marketplace, and users will use our utility token to purchase those solutions. And once those solutions are purchased, then they're going to use the token for gas fees. And then there's going to be more utility that's going to be for that, such as staking, such as rewarding the creators. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. So finally, the biggest thing I am excited about in terms of the solution is that in 2019, when I did 5 TED Talks on blockchain, one of those talks was focused on the sharing economy. And we're seeing that now with the introduction of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. But if you peel back the onion on NFTs benefit the creator as opposed to the investor or the collector. Now, given that this is going to be in a college environment, we may see the Facebook effect with this. And I was in college whenever Facebook was released, and there was no advertising, but every single student at every single college knew about Facebook in a matter of months. Given that these students are going to know about Bitcoin, about Ethereum, and they're going to know once this thing shakes out, once this Dogecoin shakes out, they're going to understand that in order for these tokens to be sustainable, they need to have a project behind it. So once this thing gets released, students, not even in the blockchain space, not even in the blockchain major, they're going to be knowledgeable about these tokens, about the utility, about the value. And that's where the Facebook effect is going to come in within higher education. And now once the students know about this, they're going to tell their friends that's not in the colleges. They're going to tell their parents. They're going to tell everyone. So the creators are going to market their solutions. Their friends are going to back their solutions. And then it's just going to spread like the Facebook effect. So to give a little bit more insight in terms of our vision, we're beginning this with student ambassadors. So with student ambassadors, they're going to join SydTek. We're going to have a different levels of student ambassadors. We're going to have student ambassador. We're going to have a full ambassador. We're going to have senior ambassadors, regional ambassadors, and global ambassadors. So this model is following the model of Polkadot. Right, so we're taking as many models as possible from Polkadot so that the students know about that Polkadot ecosystem. Okay, now not only are there going to be student ambassadors, we are going to support them in starting student clubs. That's going to be one of the funding requests, which we're going to get to later on. And once we have developed that student ambassador base, these student ambassadors are going to contribute again to the testnet. They're going to lead education for those outside of the blockchain discipline, for those outside of the student ambassador, for business students, for engineering students, for those that are not in the program. They're going to hold education sessions about the foundations of blockchain, because they don't want a 35-year-old old man talking about blockchain. They want to hear it from their peers. If their peers are as passionate about blockchain as I am, their peers will listen. So they're going to contribute to the education. They're going to contribute to letting people know about the capabilities of blockchain, not just cryptocurrencies. And also, they're going to contribute to the protocols. They're going to continue to create these smart contracts. They're going to continue to create these DeFi protocols. Now, once they have done that, once they have been educated on blockchain, we're then going to move them into the concept of staking. We're going to talk about financial literacy. Now, all these tools are things they need to be learning in higher education now, but higher education does not teach things like this. So we're taking matters into our own hands. So with the staking, we're going to teach them how to stake our token. We're going to teach them how to stake DOT. We're going to teach them how to stake Kusama. But also, because they've been exposed, as I previously stated, as they've been exposed to other blockchains using the Figment pathways, they're going to stake CeeLo. They're going to stake Avalanche on Figment. So once we have taught them staking, we're going to reward them based on their creation. We're incentivizing them to create. And we're going to create microtransactions similar to NFTs, where those those creators, that team, the developer, the analyst, the supply chain person, the accounting person, there's going to be microtransactions in those smart contracts where they get paid. They receive a percentage every single time that smart contract executes. That's the sharing economy. That's the way things should be. And then once they have learned about all of these concepts, they're going to leave this program. They're going to create their own projects. And because we have been supporting them, we're going to continue to support them. We're going to continue to mentor them. We're going to continue to advise them and be a part of their journey. That's the vision. So in terms of the early stage partners from a higher education perspective, again, I'm on the advisory board at Georgetown. So I'm going to introduce this platform within a special topics in supply chain in 2022. I have a call with Penn State in a couple of weeks. We're trying to introduce this platform in the fall. I just had a conversation with Dr. Krista Dulu from the University of Nicosia in Greece. He is the head of the Institute for the Future. And interesting fact about the University of Nicosia is that they've been in the blockchain space for a number of years. They actually allow students to pay tuition in Bitcoin. That's the type of people I want to partner with. So they're very interested. They're very interested in introducing this into their program because they currently have partnerships with Ethereum. They have partnerships with Bitcoin, and this is their way to be introduced to Polkadot. Okay. We have students. We have students from Taiwan that's looking to that have the administration to buy into this program. We have a university in India that's looking to buy in, and again, University of Cumberland's. I have already began the process of introducing Polkadot in that within the capstone course, the last course that graduate students have to take before they graduate. I had the students to develop a thesis on the interoperability of Polkadot. This was this past semester. So their first paper that they had to evaluate and write an annotated bibliography on was Dr. Gavin Wood's Polkadot white paper. So that is how I began the introduction to Polkadot and these Web3 solutions within higher education. And again, I'm looking to introduce this platform to the University of Cumberland. So here is just an MVP of one of the solutions that my partner Dontrell Collage developed after he went through the substrate runtime certification program. So we're here developing solutions. We're developing smart contracts to roll out this solution. So in terms of the roadmap, SydTek was founded in Q1 of this year of 2021. We're looking to roll out Project Blockchain. Again, Project Blockchain is this delisted, off the grid test net where people can create, where people can innovate, where people can fail fast, because that is going to lead to innovation. So we look to have that up and running in Q4 of this year. And then we look to have the SydTek marketplace rolled out by Q2 of next year, where based on what we create from Project Blockchain, the smart contracts, any kind of mini DeFi protocols, that's going to be on the SydTek marketplace where users can go in and utilize those tools. And then those creators can begin to be rewarded for their work. So that's the incentivization. If we have this Q2 2022 date for the marketplace, we're going to have these students, these creators collaborating to try to get things on the marketplace so they can continue to benefit and reap the rewards of what we're seeing right now in the NFT space. And then once we have these solutions rolled out on the marketplace, in Q4 of 2022, we're looking to kick off Project Engine, where we're going to take those smart contracts we currently have on the marketplace, upgrade them, create a version 2 of them, and integrate smart contracts into those, or integrate artificial intelligence into those smart contracts and DeFi protocols. So just to give you a perspective of the numbers that we're talking about, there are currently over 13,000 higher education institutions in the world. Also, there are 258 degree or certification programs or courses globally. Okay. Now, of those, 124 academic institutions offer those 258 courses or certification programs. Now, where the Facebook effect is going to come in is that there are 200 million college students globally, roughly 200 million college students globally. If we look back at what happened with Facebook, this is what can happen with this blockchain platform, because we have tokens. Right? And because these students know about Bitcoin, students know about Ethereum, we've created a token for them. This is the student's token. So who better to promote this token than the students? And because of that, that's where this is a tremendous opportunity for everyone. Now, going outside of the higher education, Georgia, the state of Georgia in the US, passed a bill in March where they're going to begin teaching students on digital currencies in high schools. In Georgia alone, there's 808 schools, public and private. What states are going to follow Georgia? So that's an even larger market. Now, those students can't buy tokens, but their parents can. This is turning out to be a huge market that's untapped. So again, just to give you some perspective, hopefully you can see this. So these are the top 20. These are the top 20 institutions in the U.S. In terms of blockchain. And Dontrell Collage, my partner, he did his graduate research at MIT. So the top blockchain program in the world. Again, I'm on the graduate advisory board at Georgetown, which is also in the top 20. So the two founders of the organization, they have ties to the top 20, to two of the top 20 blockchain institutions in the US. So we also have peers at these other institutions as well. I teach at a lot of academic conferences. I've made a lot of connections at the Ivy League institutions. I have a close peer that just received his doctorate from Stanford. I work with peers from UC Berkeley. You're going to see UC Berkeley shortly. So we have connections and ties with all of these higher education institutions. Going to the tokenomics. I think the slide that you have all been waiting for. So we're going to mint 100 million tokens, and the breakdown is 40% of the tokens will go to the community. The next slide is going to talk about the community breakdown as well. We're going to have 15% going to the founding team. We're going to have 20% going to early backers. And then we also feel that it is fair to allocate 15% to academic institutions. Now, being in academia is just as bad as the industry in that they're always going to ask what's in it for me. So if I'm going to approach higher education institutions, there may be some incentivization for the administrators for these institutions, where we can allocate a certain percentage of these tokens to the institutions themselves, for them to introduce this program within their institute, within their blockchain programs, computer science programs, and their business programs. So that's where there's a lot of opportunity for this. This solution is just not constrained to these blockchain programs. We're talking about financial literacy. This can be introduced to a number of finance programs, to a number of business programs, to a number of MBA programs. So we're just trying to get into these organizations. And again, I think the Facebook effect is going to allow it to scale up from there. So breaking down the community, we're going to have 40% allocated to the auction rewards. So once we move to Kusama, once we move to Polkadot, we're going to issue rewards for that. That's where 40% of those are going to come in. We're also going to allocate 20% to the treasury. We have 15% for the continuous development of this platform. And then you also going to have 15% for reward reserves. We're all about incentivizing individuals. That comes from my industry experience. Whenever you incentivize people, people will produce results. So that's where these rewards come from. Okay, the thought of the rewards come from. So again, I introduced myself. I gave my background earlier at the beginning of this presentation. Again, Dontrell Collage. So he is the co-founder of SydTek. He is also the Chief Information Security Officer, currently the Chief Information Security Officer for Turnio. He actually created the Turn token for the organization once they did their release of their token. So This slide here just provides some insight into some things that we've been doing within the Polkadot ecosystem. Akala, if you're not familiar with Akala, Akala is creating a DeFi platform. It's one of the Polkadot darlings, which I call them. They were just backed by Coinbase about a month ago. So they're making a lot of headlines in terms of, and not just the Polkadot space, in the overall blockchain space. So I do a lot of work with them. I'm actually working with them on writing a peer-reviewed journal article on DeFi. You know, because I said that there's a lot of theory in terms of higher education. This is a case study. This is a real life case study that's going to tell the story of how an organization developed a highly visible blockchain project. Also, as I said, you know, I mentioned that UC Berkeley is one of the top programs for supply chain. So I wrote a article for BitCountry. So BitCountry just completed a $4 million seed raise, $4 million raise for a seed round. I work closely with Ray Liu. I just spoke with Ray Liu about 2 o'clock this morning on some things. So I posted this Medium article, and Berkeley actually shared it. You know, so Berkeley is following the work we're doing here at SydTek, and then also because of the discussions I do within the supply chain space, because of the discussions I'm discussing with the smart contracts we're creating to address the issues within supply chain, SydTek was issued a top supply chain project of 2021. So that is one award I'm very proud about, given that we're very early on in the process and we're already winning awards, right? So to us, that's huge honor. So in terms of our ask, in terms of what we're going to do with our funding, we're first going to use some funding to develop our legal framework. To work with attorneys to build out this solution. We're also going to use the funds to hire a full-time project manager. I think project management is one of the most important things to these projects, to any technology project. Project managers are vital. That I come from 15 years of the industry in the ERP. Project managers are a must, in my opinion. We also want to hire full-time developers to work with these students to develop these solutions. And then as we bring on PhD students, we're going to have to pay them honorariums. That's just the name of the game within higher education, and we're on board with that. Because I don't want students working for free, because that's what you get with a lot of these institutions, and I don't play that. So in terms of scholarships, Akala was very generous in allowing and providing us with a few scholarships for the current runtime developers certification program that we have some run through now. But we want to set aside funds to continue to send developers to this certification program. We want to have the most developers that are certified, that are substrate certified in the entire Polkadot ecosystem. That way we can build up that consulting arm, and we can have developers, we can have validators, we can have those that are going to be reviewing smart contracts and DeFi protocols, because we have the most certified people within the entire ecosystem. So that's what we're going to set aside scholarships for that continuous development within the program, within our people. And we also want to set aside funds for marketing. As we get closer to the release of the token, we want to set aside funds for marketing. Instagram is king. I know Instagram costs money, so we want to set aside funds for that. Also, we want to set aside funds for equipment, so for purchasing services, for purchasing servers, for purchasing AI, for purchasing the tools that we need for our AI within cloud. And then also security for the platform. Now, additionally, I have been seeing that we've got some amazing developers like from India. for example, but they need laptops, they need MacBooks. So we also want to set aside funds too. So we're taking funds out of our pocket now. We're taking funds out of our pocket now to provide them with platforms because they have promise. They have amazing GitHub profiles. So we're providing them with MacBooks because that's going to be the future of Web3. So we want to set aside funds for that. And then also we want to set aside funds for curriculum development. So given that we're going to develop this certification program, we want to hire instructional designers where, yes, we're creating the content, but we need to have instructional designers to put all of this knowledge and all of this content together into a package. Okay, so that's what those funds are about. Excuse me. So finally, I know that you know this esteemed gentleman. So I think that based on the quote, based on this quote, I think that we are assisting in this vision for Figment, and that we're providing the test net that's going to be the foundation for these Web3 protocols. We're creating the foundation for the future. The future is not the technology, the future is the people. We need people to develop the technology. So we're creating a platform to deliver that. And that's why I feel that this partnership will be a long-lasting, amazing partnership. So if you have any questions, you can either reach out to myself or Don Trail. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. We have a lot. We post a lot of information on LinkedIn in terms of SydTek, in terms of blockchain, in terms of Polkadot. So I thank you for your time. I know I went long. I apologize for that, but this is something I'm very passionate about, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.